you. Rehma, that was just fantastic. I was here the other day and it was playing in the background, and it's got such an intense vibe, the song. So of course I'm going to start with the usual question.
Yeah.
You live in LA
Yes.
and you've been a music artist, a singer for the last you've been singing since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Dropped your first EP when you were
20 years old.
20 years old.
Yeah.
And your songs are accessible, and I love them, by the way. But this was Coke Studio. And how did the call come to you? How did you feel?
Oh, well, I actually got a DM from Zulfi, and he messaged me. He was like, "Hey, I'm working on Coke Studios' new season, and I have a project that I really think you would fit well on. Let me know if you want to talk about it on the phone." That message really, really changed the course for me. I got it about a year and a half ago, and I screenshotted it, sent it to my mom, my family, everybody, my friends, even my white friends. And of course, they don't know the gravity of Coke Studio in Pakistan. Of course, they understand the gravity of the brand and the sponsors and all of that. But I think when I mentioned to them the weight of this moment that has made Coke Studio has made culturally, they really understood, and it was a really exciting moment. So after that, I called him. I was really nervous on the phone, and he was like, "Urdu samajhti ho?" And I was like, "जी जी मैं समझती हूँ, थोड़ी सी टूटी बूटी बोलती हूँ, मगर समझती हूँ कुछ." So I was just responding to him in English, and he was asking me questions. He's like, "Yeah, I'm working with this artist named Zahoor. It's actually a Pashto song."
Yeah.
And I was like, "A Pashto song? You want me to sing in Pashto before I sing in Urdu?" Okay, let's go. I was like, he's like, "No, actually, I want you to sing in English."
Yeah.
And I was really relieved, actually, because for years, I've sat and watched Coke Studio with my mom. I watched Abdul Praveen, Misha Shafi, Atif Aslam, all these wonderful artists, and I've always wanted to be a part of Coke Studio, but I was nervous and a little bit shy because I am an English speaker, and I grew up in America.
Yeah.
But I was actually so honored that there was space for me in Pakistan, even if I am an English speaker. I feel like Zulfi, by doing that, is a very first a very generous thing, but also an important part of the culture, and making sure that we don't create any limitations to what the music can be. And how much Pakistan is actually supposed to be on a global scale rather than just our country. So it's really exciting.
Yeah. So Rehma, living in LA and you're part of the music scene there.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to sell music as part of Pakistan's culture?
Oh, it's I think a big part of it is that a lot of the families who leave these countries in South Asia, they are leaving because of survival. And that mindset is very prevalent in those areas. And, there's a bit of this competitive nature, and it's kind of hard to create a career on music or fashion or acting. And I think those who have to do it have to put their whole life into it. They have to devote everything. And it's important to just represent your community, but in the way you know how, not trying to be anything else. I'm never going to be somebody who grew up in Pakistan, but I am somebody who's Pakistani who grew up in America, and I think that's the most important lens I can have. It's a unique perspective,
and it's a perspective that reflects in your songs and your music as well.
Thank you.
But going back a bit, your grandmother used to work at Radio Pakistan.
Yes.
And she was a
and I didn't even know that until later when I started making music. My mom was like, "Yeah, no one makes music in the family, but your grandma did." And I was like, "Wow."
So you didn't even know that your grandmother used to sing, and yet you were in the profession, and that's so cool.
No, exactly. And actually, I've never had anyone ask me about my grandmother before, so this is really impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
Must be that conversation, and I didn't know, and I think obviously that influence is probably genetically in there, and I think it's important, and I think it matters because she was part of something big, to be part of a radio station as a woman.
Absolutely.
In Pakistan, especially in that time, she's probably making a revolution without even realizing.
Remember those times were better. Those were better times for Pakistan. Really? For women in Pakistan, I feel.
Really?
There was a lot more freedom, a lot more independence. They had a voice that they've kind of lost today. Yeah, so when you started singing, I feel that you wanted that voice to be heard, as a woman, as a South Asian woman. And one of your songs, Ladke, one of the first songs I heard, is with your friend Shia.
Yeah.
Who's from India?
Yes, she is. She's an Indian American artist, and I'm a Pakistani American artist.
Yeah.
So us collaborating was actually an opportunity to, erase that invisible feud that people think that these women have.
Yeah.
First of all, it being two South Asian women in America, I don't think I've ever seen a collaboration like that before.
Yeah.
And second, the unfair double standards that are placed on women in relationships, in life, in accomplishments. Like, women are out here getting degrees, working jobs, being creative,
Yeah.
doing their laundry, cooking, cleaning, doing everything. Well, men only have to carry like a slight bit of that battle, and
and yet they're kind of behave like they're doing it all.
like, exactly.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
there are people who are doing great things, and there are men who are putting in effort and putting in work. But I think sometimes it's important to talk about the things that people are not doing, because that's holding more gravity.
Yeah. It's also important what you're choosing and what you're picking to sing about.
Mhm.
And that's where this song comes in, because it's also throwing light on the Pakhtun culture.
Yeah.
And the fact that, the song is welcome.
Mhm.
And it shows this person who's coming from outside Pakistan and being welcomed into their community.
Yeah.
And I saw a bit of the video, and you in that beautiful little perfumery, and I tried to steal one of those bottles, actually.
Why did he?
But I was told don't do it. I was like,
I stole
they're
a whole
not
radio,
even.
so.
Yeah, I should have done it. I was
Sumaya was like, don't show me.
yeah,
And
I was like, they're not going to know, and I can just get away with one little bottle. It's like, nahi. But that beautiful set, and the entire culture kind of unfolds in front of you.
Exactly, yeah.
And it takes you through, and then the dancers, and then the rain.
Right.
Now, how difficult was that video to shoot?
I think it's difficult for everybody, because it's like a long process to be able to stand on set for this many hours and do everything. But I think the beauty of everything was that even though it was difficult, somehow the energy was alive through the whole thing. There were so many special moments where, like, for example, in the perfume shop, I was talking to Zulfi Bhai about it, and I was like, this literally feels like my room at home. When you're in America, you're not in Pakistan, so you have to hold on to your little traditions that you have, like the rosemary and the crystals and everything. So actually, when I mentioned that it looks like my room and I actually have a bunch of these crystals in there, I showed him in my bag. Like, I ran to my bag across the set, and I was like, look, these are crystals that I have, like, in my bag. I charged them at night, and it looks like that room in there, like I promised. So actually, Hashim, the production designer, the next day, like, brought a bunch of crystals and, like, put them in my room for the perfume shop. Little things like that are what make artists feel comfortable and safe on set.
Yeah.
And even just the idea of me being welcomed into the Pashtun culture, that's a big part of this song. Is like, I didn't want to occupy too much space. I just wanted to add to it. I just wanted to celebrate something that was already happening, and that is the Pashtun culture. And I'm very grateful that Zahoor is so talented and fleshed it out and was able to, like, educate everybody on what the Pashtun culture is about. So
I mean, you guys sounded amazing. What was the brief that was given to you?
It was very simple yet stunning. I'll say it like that. Really just explaining, this is what Pashtun culture